My name's Aaron Wisman, and I have a remodeling company called Ozarks Remodeling and Design here in Springfield, Missouri. So we're just kind of almost right in the dead center of the country, just a great Midwestern town, just fantastic folks here to work with and serve. So, then I kind of perform all of the functions of a normal business owner right now, just trying to get things off the ground. I do, oversee kind of all the financial stuff and then sales. And then I have 3 guys that are out in the field full time that perform all of our work. So
when did you start this business?
I started in November of 2015. So coming up on real close here. Well, in a month, I guess it'll be 4 years.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Well, so, probably the last 2 years, we've become more and more focused into exactly what kind of remodeling we want to do. In construction, there's the whole gamut of from new homes all the way to, people that just maybe do replacement windows. And so for us, probably a solid year ago now, maybe a year and a half, really made the conscious decision that we were going to focus everything towards bathrooms and just make that our niche. We had done a couple, and while we hadn't done them super well, I mean, the end result was great, but we didn't make a whole lot of money. We weren't super efficient, but we could see that we could definitely improve in that area. And it was an area that, where we live, there's 80,000 people that live in Springfield. And so that's a whole lot of bathrooms to possibly remodel. And so we had tried a lot of different things, quite honestly, before we kind of found you and your company. And so, some things were okay. Some things were abysmal, to be real honest. We had very, very little results. And so, that was, we were needing to find a way to market and find bathrooms, which is what we want to focus on and kind of grow everything around. And then we'll start to add the different services in and maybe market to some other areas as well once we have basically owned this one, if you will. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a great strategy that you've really focused on. Something that I typically tell people when I start working with them is, unless your budget for ads is fairly large, we really need to try and find one thing that you would like to focus on above the rest. So it's been definitely easy to do that with you since you already know what your focus is. But I think what people don't understand is that the same content and ads that would appeal to someone who wants a kitchen are different than they would be for someone who wants a bathroom. And I've definitely been able to successfully mix the two on many occasions, but you just can't speak as in depth to their pain points and the things that they really want to change because it's a different space. You use it for different things. Your reasons for wanting to do that project are much different than another project. So I think it's awesome that you've already found that for yourself to be true and want to make a name for yourself in your community, like with this one type of project first and then expand from there. So how did you originally find my company?
So I originally found it through my business coach that I have. He listens to a lot of podcasts, and he's not super strong in the marketing end, and so he listens to a lot of marketing podcasts. And he heard you interviewed on a podcast and said, "Hey, I think you need to listen to this gal. I think she can probably help you out." So that's where it originally came from.
Awesome. And so, I guess we started working together about 4 months ago. Let's kind of talk about, what it was like in the first month and kind of how it progressed. So I know one thing that a lot of people are wary about sometimes is, okay, if I start working with someone, like how long is it actually going to take to start seeing anything coming in? And so we did, get things set up and going pretty quickly, but kind of share your experience about that first month and kind of what you saw from the different leads and how we ended up addressing that.
Yeah, so I would say, the biggest thing, which you were big on, is knowing what leads. You have a system that you shed everything through to us, so we know what leads come from the marketing that you're doing, and then we know what leads are coming from the other general stuff that we're doing. But so, yeah, I mean, for us, we saw, a big uptick, in just those leads coming in. In that first month, it was, we're still, basically kind of figuring each other out. And so we were marketing in some areas that, we probably don't serve real well, just being at the price point that we are. So we kind of worked through some of that. But yeah, there was a pretty quick uptick in regards to the number of leads that we were receiving as a company anyway. So.
Yeah. And so, for you, you're a higher end remodeler, and that's, a type of client that I work with fairly regularly, although I kind of have, a range of different levels. A lot of people often might say like, oh, well, I don't think that someone who'd be looking to do projects like this are on Facebook or really care about those things. And, ultimately, kind of like you just mentioned, it's very important to understand where those people are in your community. And so a lot of times what we try and do early on, unless, kind of guided otherwise, is try and take a slightly more broad approach in the targeting to like see what's going on, see what we're getting. And after you and I communicated and really kind of talked about, what was happening with some of the leads, you were definitely getting a hold of them, but they just weren't like the right price point for the services that you provided. So ultimately what we tried to do is just come up with a really targeted list of areas in your town that your ideal customer typically lives. And that's a really, important step, because obviously if you're looking to do high-end bathroom remodels, someone who lives in a $100,000 home is typically not, they're just not going to pay that. So instead of putting ad dollars into those areas, making sure that as long as we have good advertising and it's going to the right people, then we should see some good results. So after we made some of those location changes, what did you feel about like the types of leads that were coming in?
Yeah, they're much more in line with who we're building our company around to serve. I mean, we know we're very clear on the avatar of folks that we want to serve, and kind of, it's not necessarily the wealthiest of kind of where we live, but it's kind of that middle of the road, just those folks that maybe are getting ready to retire or are going to retire. And, they just want to have a nice space. And so that's really who we serve. And since we've made those changes after month one, we definitely have seen that those leads that now come in match that avatar much more closely. So.
Awesome. And so how do you feel about the follow-up? So it is very common for a lot of people to think that they just can't get a hold of leads that come in this way. And so I personally have done a lot of testing on it, and it's, been proven many, many times that if you follow up quickly, you're going to be able to get a hold of a ton of people. Granted, you're never going to get a hold of everybody. And, it's just one of those things. But do you feel like these leads are actually real people that are, signing up for a consultation with you, that end up talking to you at the end of the day?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's always going to be, and no matter any of that kind of marketing where you're going kind of the, shotgun approach, there's going to be some that are going to filter out that, yeah, we never get a hold of, why they filled out the form. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, we've even had a couple that, say that they never filled out the form. Like, well, I don't know how we got your name and your phone number other than you filling it out. But those are, I would say, in the percentage of leads that we get, I would say that is less than 10% for sure. And the rest of them, we try to talk to. We don't set an appointment. Again, we're pretty specific in trying to figure out who we work for. And so, even when we talk to them, if we find or know that we're just automatically not going to be a good fit, we'll either refer them out or just let them know. But so, yeah, it's just working that funnel all the way down, to finding out those folks that are our clients. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I've really loved about working with you is I feel like you have a really great mindset in terms of what you expect from your marketing and what your end goals are. And, just a couple of examples, I guess, would be you truly care about building a lasting name in your community. And that should be important to every local business. You aren't an online faceless brand. You live in an area. 80,000 people isn't an enormous metropolitan area. You know that these people are going to see your brand name. They're going to see your content. They're going to see your advertising. And even if they don't need you today, the opportunity for them to reach out to you is still there. So that's been really awesome to see, because it's something I try and, make sure people understand that there's absolutely going to be short-term return on investment. That is our goal. Absolutely. But essentially this should be a long-term plan. You don't want to be here today and gone tomorrow. You want to make sure that people know you're here to stay. And, with any type of project like this, there's only a certain percentage of the market that's, in need or seriously looking at any given time. So our goal is to just, be there for those people with the right message and the right call to action and the right offer whenever those people are there. And so it's been awesome. And then just, again, your quick follow-up has, I think, made a big difference. Sometimes what I'll see on my end is that people are waiting days to follow up with their leads. And I try and tell them, they did sign up. There are some people that they are forgetful. They may have signed up for something and they did forget. And I don't quite understand it, but it happens no matter what business you're marketing to. Those people should be few and far between. You occasionally get one that's 1,000 miles away, and why Facebook is, kind of putting them in that location, you're not really sure. But essentially, these people, they're expecting your call after they sign up, and with the amount of telemarketing calls that people get today, I know for myself personally, if I don't recognize the number, if I'm not expecting a call, 9 times out of 10, I let it go to voicemail, because if it's important, typically people will leave a voicemail. So that's the other thing. You'll also run into people whose mailboxes are full. So really following up really quick, like you do, is going to be the best way to make sure that you get in touch with people more times than not. And while there's a lot of other stuff you can do, like sending text messages and emails, those things definitely help out. But the phone call is what you want at the end of the day. So making that a big priority is really awesome to see for you. So can you talk a little bit about, I know we discussed people calling you and telling you that they saw your advertising on Facebook. They didn't, schedule their consultation through the ads themselves, but just kind of talk about, I guess, some of the things that you've heard from other types of leads that have definitely recognized what you're doing online.
Yeah, so I think it's a holistic approach. For us, I spend quite a bit of, I wouldn't say quite a bit of time, but I do. We upload photos to Google, my business and that sort of thing. And, I make videos that we post on Facebook, and then we also will post them on Google My Business. I'm also big on asking my folks to review us on Google and on Facebook so that we have those. So, between Google and Facebook, obviously those are the two biggest, in terms of the volume of people that are on there and using them. I know that there's some of the other ones as well, Instagram and, those kind of things. But for us, we've just found that, those two things. And so I think it's a great approach to do both really well, just from the standpoint of, you do see ads on Facebook, and you can tell what is an ad, right, as opposed to what is native content. And so, but having those ad at least puts that brand in front of them. And then when they come maybe over to Google and they type in our company, and then they can see, our quality of reviews and the number that we have and some other pictures that we might have. I think it helps to just solidify that some of that trust that is hard to build kind of before you even speak to somebody. So I think there's great value in that. Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And, Google My Business is such a powerful tool for local businesses. And I think that so many people haven't really realized the power of that yet. Truly optimizing that to get good traffic to your site, and even being able to continue to remarket to them on Facebook and vice versa. Those things are really powerful, because with any type of advertising, it's typically not the first time that someone sees you that they reach out. They need to have several exposures to you to feel that trust. And I think especially in your industry, a lot of contractors probably wouldn't be advertising. I think the biggest fear for a lot of homeowners is like, are they, really trustworthy? Are they fly by night kind of people? But businesses that are consistently advertising and advertising well, that simple fact alone builds that additional trust because people know you are in this for the long game. And so you mentioned that you do videos. That's something I've so greatly appreciated about you. Video is huge in building your audience, developing more trust, showing people more of what you do, educating them. It is something I stress a lot with everyone before I get started working with them. However, what I see, I'd probably say 70% of the time is that everyone, says they understand it, they're willing to do it, but they don't follow through. And that can negatively affect the results that you're going to see. It's not that you can't see any results without video, but video significantly increases the results that you're going to get, especially long term. And people that just kind of don't see it as the important piece of marketing that it is, it's truly a shame. And I believe that's why everything has been going so well for you. Your videos have always gotten really good engagement. People like watching them. And I kind of, recommend a few different types of videos to people. One is like the educational style video where you're really helping them understand these different things that they would be interested in before buying. And then the other one is more like demonstration. And that's what you do a lot. You simply have your phone and you're walking through your jobs, whether they're almost complete or whether they are fully complete, and you're talking about it. You're showing people what was done. You're showing people the types of things that were used. And that's powerful in and of itself. A photo is great, but when you can see all the different angles, you can really kind of go on this journey with you as you're telling the audience what has happened and what has been transformed. It's, I would say probably not a huge time investment. Obviously, videos definitely take time, but for you, that seems to be something that you just have decided you are going to do, and you do it regularly. So that is something I just can't stress enough is doing video is important. And half the time you're not even on video, which is what I, kind of want to highlight. You're behind the camera and you're walking them through the jobs. And so many people, they feel like they're too uncomfortable on camera, or it makes them nervous. And at the end of the day, you don't even have to be on camera to make video work for your business. So that's been awesome. The videos that you guys have had produced have been really nice. And I just love the true, genuine connection that you seem to want to develop with people in your community. And I really do think that that's been a big part of why you've been successful. You seem to truly talk to everyone on the phone and understand what their needs are. And like you said, if you're not the best person for them, you will refer them to someone who is a good fit. You're not trying to force your services on anyone, but you're also taking the initiative to actually follow up quickly and follow up repeatedly if you don't get a hold of them on the first try. So having those systems and kind of that attitude about it is so awesome to see. So I guess if anybody out there was wondering if Facebook advertising and content type marketing could work for their local business, what would you tell them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just like anything. I mean, in our business, I think the biggest thing is that you've got to set a certain percentage aside to know that you're going to market. I mean, if you want to grow a business, you're going to have to market. And maybe when again, my company's 4 years old, and so maybe when I'm 10 years old in a company, maybe we won't have to market as much for new leads, and we can work on a little bit on the folks that we have already been in touch with. But for us, I know that we have some pretty significant growth goals that we want to meet and attain, and so there's going to be a percentage that we have to set aside of every dollar that comes into market, and we want to do that well. And so for us, yeah, we found that we've had some great success with what we're doing with you all, and And I think it'll only improve as we can continue to dial that in, and to, for me to also create some better content as well. I haven't done any of the educational videos. I do a lot of the demonstration videos, like you said, but yeah, I think it's a must. You have to set some money aside, and you have to pull the trigger. It's not cheap, obviously, as you know, but that's been the great thing too. I mean, besides the demonstration videos that I do, in our monthly call that you and I hop on and talk about our results, I haven't had to do anything, which is great. I've just kind of turn that over to you, and then we work it from our side of things.